Welcome to our training on the Ausure community. This is our hub for everything Ausure, so this replaces the old intranet style locations for saving all your documents and information. So everything that happens at Ausure comes through our community pages. So to get started, this is our home page. Today we're just going to go over the tabs at the top here and give you a bit of an insight into what's in each of those, and then in later videos we'll break it down into more detailed information on each of those sections. First of all, up the top here you can set your profile, set up your settings for how you want it to work, what you want to be notified of. You can get emails and things like that sent through to you with updates. In here you can change your profile picture, your details, all your titles, things like that. Down the bottom here you have any information on things that you've posted or you're following, and also cases, and we'll talk about cases a little bit later on. So this is basically just a snapshot of everything that's happened and where to update your information. We'll come on through to the home page now. So this is where you'll come to when you first start. Up the top of the home page we have our search bar function, and we just type in PDS and we'll see what we come up with a search. So the search can be broken up into different things. So we can do what we call articles. Articles are things that we've written specifically around something like this, the retail advice statements, or adding a new insurer, those sorts of things. The discussions is in our discussion group, which is a communications tab, and you can filter these out by clicking on any of these or just scrolling down into the new sections. So as I said, articles is what we saw here at the top. These are articles that have been written on specific things. Discussions takes you through to our communications section, where anything that mentions a PDS will be listed. So that's a quick search, and then we could go back to the top and that'll give us everything. If we're not sure, we can then go back to the home page and ask a question. As this comes up, I'll take us down and we'll get to the questions section shortly. But across the top here we've got our tabs, our broker information tab that contains all of your information on processes and procedures and things to work on. Our insurer and market tab, so wanting to add a new insurer or get a list of see a list of who we deal with, it's all in here. Events and training, your personal information and information about your office if you're an office manager or a principal. We have quick links to some of the forms that we use, and over here is our additional information tab with more, so it takes you down into a few things that don't fit into a specific category. What you'll see at the top here is our scrolling information bar on some of our key partners. So these here are our key partners. It's a range of insurers and funders, and they support Ausure with additional information and support, and providing us with service that's above and beyond what we would normally get from insurers. So while it's not always perfect, they do their best to try and provide Ausure with a great deal of service. You can click on any of these pages, so we'll just go to the Allianz page to start with. We've got some appetite guides, some different products, claims, contacts, all the information in there. This is maintained by Allianz. They update this on a regular basis. They also can post, so Fazer, who's our national relationship manager, she'll post in here quite often if things are happening. You can see fairly regular updates. There's also a list of all the people that are our contacts within with Allianz there, and we can ask questions through here. If you want to ask Allianz a question, you can post in here as well, and at Fazer, and all of the key partners will have their own tab in there and similar information. As we scroll down on our home page, we see a quick call button. So if you've got a question, you just need an answer. This will put you straight through to our support desk. We've got our news section, so we can read more on these two articles. It's hard to see what they are this time, but that happens. And you can, this all backward and forward on to different things that are happening in the news, and you can just go through and take a look at that. This is our archives of things like our fortnightly digest. This is just an update every fortnight, usually from John Mills, on what's happening around the industry. If we've seen some changes to endorsements on policies, or an insurer's changed their appetite, he tries to communicate it out through here. 2 to 3 times a year we put out a full Ausure magazine, so all our past Ausure magazines are in here. We also have the Mick and Millsy podcast. I'm going to open this up and just give you a look. This is a great resource for listening to the guys chat about all different things insurance. So all of our old episodes you can listen to from here. So we've got an interview with an award-winning young achiever from Ausure, talking to Graham Lilly, Scott McCarthy, our CEO, and then it goes into some interesting information. So there's quite a few interesting podcasts. We can just download them by clicking here. You can also listen to the guys on Spotify as well. If you search the Mick and Millsy podcast, you'll find it there. Down the bottom here, we've got our CPD points register. All these things link as well, so they link back into the articles that relate to those. So if you want to open an article, a link, this one will take us through to our points recording in the system. So wherever you see those links, this will take you through and get you through there much quicker. We also, over on this right hand side here, we have our Ask a Question section. So this is our communications hub. So the latest communications just gives you an absolute list of everything that's been put in here. Here's one for children mental health counselling, hard to place risk. So there's Millsy giving some feedback. Valuation tools, so lots of different info going on there. As I said, this lists everything that goes on. The Ausure Communications is basically information pushed out from head office, so it will look very similar at the moment to the latest one with everything in there, but this is only from head office staff, so your managers and your staff in head office who are sharing things. So here's some information on informed consent, some different things that are happening around within the business. We've got our placements, which removes the Ausure communication and just dials in on those placements that we looked at first. And then you can bookmark some of these things. So we can go into the side here and we can flag them, we can pin it at the top, or we can add it to a bookmark to read later on. So handy little tool. You can see what's in there and have a look around. Across the top here, we have our head office contacts, our log a help request, our start learning page. So this is a link to our in community training, so things like insight and quick links to documents and trainings around the system. There's quite a bit of info on that page there. Request an RP, so this will take you straight into request an RP online. If we click on open up the logger request, this is all linked to our Salesforce system. So the community is a front page basically, or a web page that's designed to collect information that comes into support or comes into the compliance teams or finance teams or whoever you want to communicate with. This doesn't exist for me because I'm one of the receivers of the cases, so I won't be able to show you that, but we will in a future training. I'll take you in on normal login. On our next page, our next tab, we've got our broker information. So we've got different sections: accounts, broking, claims, compliance, all the way through severe weather event resources. So there's some resources in there for companies that can come out and make safe and those sorts of things. Systems, help desk, technology and training. So whatever department you're looking for information on, you can come in here and take a look into there and get some guidelines and information. We'll go through that in a little bit more detail for later on. For now, I just want to show you where everything is and let you get a little bit familiar with the community system. Next up is our insurer and market information. So our key partners, which we spoke about before, that are listed up the top here, also goes into a bit more detail about those arrangements. If you do have the need to place a policy offshore, we have our unauthorized foreign insurer form here. We also have our approved market insurer contacts. So everything that's in our system is approved for use, so it'll be mirrored in Insight, but also we have a list of all of the insurer accounts that we have, their contact numbers and an email for them, so the main contact that we have for them. So alphabetical order, you can search that up obviously, but it's just a good way to see if you're looking for an underwriter or an insurer, to check if we've got it. If we have, great. If not, you need to go through to our broking manager, John Mills, and have a chat to him about seeing whether we can get them added. In our events and training, we have a few things in here, and we have our learning page, which I spoke about earlier, and I'll bring that up. We have our CPD points, our training tools, so tips and tools and things that relate to CPD. We also have our events, so you can see what events are coming up. So we'll click on here and we'll see that we've got an event coming up on this one for the Ausure camping weekend, best event that Ausure has, and that opens up into a form that you can fill out, and we can also view the Steadfast events in here. We can see what registrations we have, or we can click on here to register for the event. So either way, you get into there. And then we've got our training and development general information, so things that we have around training and development, but we also have our training partner subsidy program. So some of our key insurers subsidise training, and that can be something as simple as you want to get your diploma, so there's a subsidy for up to 50% of your diploma costs. There's also subsidies for tier 1 and tier 2 if you're looking to get qualified and work as a broker. So this is more generic information about those things, and but for your own personal information, it's all in here. So my cases, whenever you submit a question in an email to, say, a compliance at Ausure or a support at Ausure email address, it creates what we call a case. And those cases go into the team, and the team gets distributed out to a person to manage that case. So depending on what you've sent through as to who it goes to, someone will be onto that and providing feedback. But you can see a list of all your cases that you've submitted and any information that's sent back in case you've missed something, you have a day off and you didn't see a response. You can have a look in here and see if there has been a reply sent. If you are a principal or a business owner or a manager, you may have access to the My Branch financials. So this will give you a little snapshot of your financials for your business. You need to speak to the finance team or Ellie if you've got any questions around that one. We do have your CPD register. So when we go into our CPD register, we get a list of the years for CPD and in some instructions. So we can, there's your points register and Steadfast event downloads. If we click on, for example, my current year, we see a total of points, training plan. So Ausure each year will ask you to complete at the start of the year a training plan for maybe two or three things that you think you might like to get some training on for the year. So that might be just as simple as a refresher on cyber or management liability. We also will assign some training based on what we're seeing in our audits and what's happening in the industry. So, for example, last year, vulnerable clients was a big topic around things. So we made it mandatory for all ARs to take a training course through Steadfast on those vulnerable client trainings. So we put a training plan at the start of the year. The mandatory ones you have to do. The other ones are just what you think you would like to work on, just to, when you go looking to do some training, you can look in here and see, oh, that's right, I wanted to do something on cyber. So it's also helps us meet our licensing requirements for our license to have our ARs trained to 25 points each year. Down the bottom here, you get a list of all your activity, your training. So that's for the conference. You can also print a list of your CPD points, and we can view everything in there. You can add your CPD points through your register, and we click here for the instructions on how to use the register. So this will take us through, and we've got all the instructions step by step with screenshots of how to register your points, what to do, where to go. And there's also at the bottom of each page, I probably forgot to mention this before, down at the bottom here there's also related articles, so total points allocation. So these are the policy on our training requirements, what sort of points we award things, points for things. Also what you can claim for. So for example, you can claim 6 points for reading, but you do have to keep a log or keep some sort of record of what you read or what you watched. That means you can claim that 6 points. So you can't just whack that 6 points in and hope for the best. You've got to actually have some sort of record of it. Down here, there's LMI group, there's LMI college portal, and a community events guide. So these are related things that, these events will get you points, or these places can get you some extra training. So we'll come back on up. Actually, I'll go back to here and we will move through to my information. The portfolio benchmarking, again, is for business owners and managers, that if they want to have their business benchmarked against the rest of the industry or the rest of Ausure to see how they're doing. That's some information that you can go through there and find out. My events just takes you a list of your events you've registered for. So we click on that, and if you're registered for any upcoming events, it will show them here. Plus also past events can be viewed, so that you can look to see if you've got any points we should be claiming. We'll go back to my information, and as before, when we talked about on that front page having those communication groups, if you are in a specific communication group, obviously being at head office, I have lots of different partner groups that we're in. So say you have a something going on and you're doing some sort of scheme or something with Chubb, you might be part of a Chubb communication group. That's basically the key partner group where management and Chubb communicate to each other. But you might have different groups depending on what you do, and if maybe you're a farm insurer and you want to communicate with other farm insurers, farm brokers. Sorry, you might be able to jump in here and create a group and share information with each other. Our form section is pretty much exactly what it says. So at the top we've got our most commonly used forms for compliance. So if you unfortunately have a breach or a complaint, you can log them in here. If it's a minor breach or complaint that you've resolved and you just want to notify us of, you do that via our monthly compliance report. And the same with soft dollar. Unless it's something significant, you might want to notify it through here. Otherwise, you can put it on the monthly compliance report. And Ausure looks at small gifts, between up to sort of $300-400. We don't need to report on everything like that. That's a fairly standard thing in the industry. But anything over that sort of $300 or $400 mark, it's best to cover yourself by reporting that. If you do have a really unusual risk, and as brokers, we're using insurers who are using systems that will either allow products to fit, which means they're going to meet the target market determination. So I don't know why brokers actually need this, but anyway, if you do have a really strange or unusual risk and you need to actually complete a target market determination form because you're going to place it outside of its target market, then you come in here. I think it's been running about 4 years now and we've never had that filled out, so you're probably not going to need that in a hurry. Next down we have our accounts form. So requesting an RP is basically the main one you need there. Make sure you look for the AU, not the NZ, to get our Australian forms. Technology. So if you have a new staff member starting or leaving, you come in here and you can download a staff startup form or leaving form. This allows us to remove them from all the systems on the date that you, or place them on the systems on the date you let us know. It also helps us establish for a startup what access they need to things. So do they need access to some of these business management tools? What insight access do they need? Are they a sales team, a service team, all that sort of interesting stuff as we go through. Over on the More tab, we have some quick links. So we can open our Insight program from here. So I'll open that in a new tab and I'll show you that shortly. We have our Insight Broker Manual. So this is all things Insight. So training on different things like how to create tasks and how to use the system in different ways is all in here. And that's all Ausure based. You can get some training from Steadfast, but it has very generic information in there and not going into details of how Ausure work. If you're doing farm insurance and you've got access to Allstate, you can get onto the TIM program through here. Access to the Steadfast website. Steadfast group insurances are in here as well. I'll open that to show you momentarily. And our contact us. So you've got the contacts for each department, our head office contacts. I'll click on that one. And that'll take you through and show you a list of all the contacts in our head office. So this is just a basic list, what they do, contact number and their email address. If you want to get more specific and you go into compliance, this will be a very short list. So we've got our contacts. It'll just take you through to our compliance page and that'll show you a picture of me and my contact details are here. When you see these compliance or finance or support at Ausure, these are all linked to our system, our Salesforce system. So you use those when you want to send something through that requires some work or requires some action. It's best to go to these because it gets farmed out to the relevant person really quickly. So sending it through to our general emails will get to us, but when it's on here, it's monitored and managed, and we know how long it takes to respond to those. So we can get back to you a lot quicker if you use these. So, and I'll go through all of this in a bit more detail in a later video. So so when I click that link in here to take me through to Insight, quick links up here. I clicked on that link to take us through to Insight. That's opened up here, so that'll just take you straight through there. Some people like to do that so that they can view it, access their system and have both systems open at the one time, or you can just open it straight from your browser. It really is up to you, but look, if you lose your link, or you can come in here and grab that as well. So that's very handy. The Ausure learning page is the last thing I'll touch on. So this works hand in hand with our Ausure Academy. The Ausure Academy is more specific training and a bit more longer training on some of these things. But this is also a bit of a roadmap to where to go to when you're starting. So you can take a look around the website. It tells you all about Ausure, all about our relationship with Steadfast. And then we go into this video on here is of our community, the walkthrough and some more detailed videos. Insight and SCTP, our compliance culture, and it has CPD information, broking best practice tools, accounts information, marketing information, and we have a lot of stuff in there that I'll be going through each one of these. We do also have some information if you wanted to get some support from head office in you doing your processing, back office processing done. You can be supported, or service model where we do it all for you. Support model is where we assist you. We also have claims assistance available, and we'll touch on claims in a later training as well. So this is just a great place to come to get info if you wanted to go into, say, Insight. We then have access to individual specific trainings on the different things in the system. So first up we have our article library for Insight. You also have a video library which is just down below. So this is SVU policies, renewal retention, all these sorts of information. But then there's also an introduction webinar, a navigation webinar, and a processing webinar, which will take you through a good training on all these, on all of it, Insight. There is also an SCTP for Insight users webinar, and down the side here you'll find some of our most common requested or clicked links, and it'll take you through there. And you click here if you want to arrange any additional training for yourself or your team, and as soon as we can, we will put you into a training, usually online, and we'll do an online training. So that's a really handy page just for if you've forgotten something, you want to refresh your memory on something you learnt when you started up. The training page is a great place to come. So that's our first overview of the Ausure community. Jump in there, don't be frightened, have a look around, ask some questions, and let us know if with some feedback if you're having trouble finding anything. We will go into greater detail on all of those most important sections of this and the ones you'll use the most, and we'll make that available very shortly.